All right, so for home page, let's first close all these and let's just open home page in blazing URLs, components, pages, home.razor. Okay, so here we will have this section content, which the main heading of this page. We'll have page URL, page title. So let's have it blazing URLs only, and then we'll remove everything else from here. Now on this page we are going to have two different sections. First, we'll have our short URL generator form. Okay, and then we are going to have some quick features static section. Static section is static hard coded HTML, we could say, the features of our application. All right, so this short URL generator form, this is going to be one form with one button, one text field, and we can click on that and it should generate, it should make a call to backend, and then it should generate a short URL for us. All right, so this section is going to be used, this form is going to be used from two different places. One, from this home page, we will have it here. Then on the admin pages, we are going to have one button, and from on click of that button, we will open up a modal pop-up, and inside that modal pop-up, we are again going to have this same form. Okay, so that means it is going to be used at two different places. So it's a good candidate for a separate reusable control or reusable component. All right, so because all the admin pages, those are going to be interactive using InteractiveAuto, so those should go to client project. All right, so this form we are talking about, the short URL generator form, this should also be in the client project because this is going to be used for both of these projects. Okay, all right, so in client project we are going to create a folder, let's say shared or maybe shared components, and inside the shared components we will have a this form. So let's say short URL generator form dot razor, this is going to be a Blazor razor component. All right, and it is here now. Okay, inside this we need one model, so that model is going to be used at this place only. So we can simply create a class here with short URL generator form. Yeah, this seems good. Short URL generator form model. The name is very long, but yeah, we can keep it like this only, or maybe we can short URL generator model, we could say this is fine. In here we are going to have this long URL, only one string type property. All right, and on this we are going to have a required data annotation. Okay, and here we are going to have that length validation, it should be the same what we have on entity. So let's check in data in link.cs. Here we have long URL 10 and 250. So min length is 10 and maximum length is 250. All right, so we are good with this model now. I'm having it here, you could have it in a separate class file or anywhere, but I'm having it here because it is going to be used at this place only within this component. That's why I'm having it here. All right, okay, so for this component we are going to have this state, so private short URL generator model underscore model equals this new with default value. All right, and this component is going to be interactive. All right, so we can have all sort of loading or loading state or global loader and all that kind of stuff. All right, okay, so now we have this piece of state model. Here we can have private bool let's say is processing. Okay, cool. So save it. Now let's have the actual form here. So here we'll say edit form with model. It is going to be our underscore model. All right, and inside this model, and let's do this. Let's create a wrapper div here. Div class. All right, here we are going to have our edit form, and inside this edit form, first thing we need data annotation validator. All right, after that I'm going to have one heading here, h2, let's say shorten a long URL. All right, now let's have some helper text again, p. We'll say enter or paste a long URL. All right, then we are going to have our text box. So div class mb3 margin bottom 3, and inside this we are going to have input text with bind value model.long URL class form control, and then validation message for this long URL. All right, and here we can have some placeholder as well. So let's have placeholder, and here we can simply let's add my YouTube channel's URL. So https www.youtube.com/@Abhay Prince. This is my channel's URL. By the way, if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe this, and please like this video and share this video. All right, so we have this place for this input text, then we have this validation message for this input text. All right, after this we are going to have a button. So div class mb3, inside this we are going to have a button, type submit, class btn main, because we are going to have our main class. Then we are setting disabled attribute with this @_processing. So if we are processing, that means if we are in loading state, then we'll disable this button, and when we are not in loading state, we are not processing, then this button is going to be enabled. All right, now here we are just checking. If we are processing, then we'll show this shortening this URL and ... and if we are not processing, then we'll show shorten this URL, shorten URL. All right, that's all we need. Now if we have this is processing, so we could show a loader as well here. Okay, so for loader, what we can do, that loader is going to be used at multiple places. All right, so what I mean is that should also be a shared component. All right, so inside the shared component only, let's create one more loader.tracer. All right, we don't need any code here, we just need pure HTML. So first thing, we'll have some overlay kind of thing which will going to take entire screen. So here we'll say position fixed, first thing, and then we are going to have PG secondary, which is actually some grayish color. All right, then we need this to fill up entire screen with position fixed. So that what I mean is we will set left, right, top, bottom, all the properties. Okay, so for this we'll say style, or maybe we can do this, we can have one we can have some class in app.css on global level, or maybe let's do this, loader. Inside this loader only we'll create isolated CSS file here. So we'll say loader.razor.css. All right. And here we'll simply define a class. We'll say full screen. Okay. And here we'll say position fixed, left 0, right 0, top 0, bottom 0. All right. This, and then on this loader.razor position fixed, we can remove this. We can have full screen and we can have BG secondary. All right. This is actually an overlay, we could say. So for this, save everything, we are good. This is simply a background. Now on top of this, we are going to have our actual loader content. All right. So we are again going to have a div with some bootstrap CSS classes. So this is also going to be full screen. Okay. So it takes the complete entire screen again. And on this, we can have display flex. Then we can have justify content center, and we can have align items center to make the content inside this div to the center horizontally and vertically both. All right. And then inside this, we are going to have one more div with class. Here we'll say BG white, white color, then P3, or we can have P5, some large padding. And then let's have shadow as well on this. And now inside this, we are going to have a loading state or loader, that loading icon, right? So for this, we can simply use Bootstrap only. So in Bootstrap, we have spinner. So get bootstrap.com. We are using version 5.1. And here we could search for spinner. And here we could see this is the spinner. So you could choose whichever spinner you want. So this is a grow and this is this rounded. So let's use this one only, this one. All right. So let's copy this and add it here. All right. We need to make it bigger. So let's have H3 class or H2, not H-2, just H2. And we can change its color as well. So we could say text main. All right. Save everything and we should be good now. Now there is only one thing. First, this BG secondary, this is going to get entire screen. So on this, we can have one Z index, which should be on top of everything, whatever we have in our custom CSS and in Bootstrap. So Bootstrap, the models basically use 1049 Z index. So for this, we will use 2000 category. So style Z index 2000 for overlay. And on top of this, we are going to show actual loader. So for this, we will simply use Z index 2001. Okay, so it will be stacked on top of this, right? All right, so looks like we are good with this now. All right, save everything. Let's go to short URL generator form again. Here we have this is processing. So here we will define, we can have it anywhere, wherever we want. After or before does not matter because it is going to be on top of everything. So here we'll simply check if we are in processing state. We will simply show this loader component. All right. Now when we'll submit this edit form on valid submit, we'll say, let's say shorten URL async. We'll call this method. So let's define this method in our code block. Here we'll say private async task shorten URL async. Right now we don't have that logic which is going to actually shorten the URL. So till the time, what we can do, we can simply have some delay of, let's say, 2500 2.5 seconds. But before that, we'll set is processing to true, and after 2.5 seconds we'll say is processing to false. All right, so that we can see if this loader is getting displayed. All right, so enough talking for generating this component. Now let's use this component in our home page. So we'll go to home page. Here we'll use that short URL generator form, but this does not exist here. So we can use this using blazing urls.client.shared component, but we are going to use it at multiple times, or maybe we can use some other components from shared components. So it's better to use this using inside underscore imports.razor file. All right, I moved it here so that it is going to be accessible on all the Razor pages inside this project. So now we can see this. Okay, now it is saying something. What is it? Found markup element unexpected name short URL generator form. Okay, sometimes it just freaks out. If I'll close it and if I'll open it, at the rate using directive for its namespace, something is not right. At the rate using, yes, we have it, and it got fixed now. All right, so we are not going to directly have it like this. We are going to have a wrapper div here. We need it horizontally centered. All right, so for this, what we are going to do on home page, we'll have div class row. Inside this row, we are going to have one div which will take entire, or maybe let's make it smaller. So we'll say curl sm6. Okay, and inside this we are going to have this short URL generator form like this, and on this call sm6, let's have some other things as well. We will have some margin, so vertical margin my5 from top and bottom. All right, then mx auto, so that it moves to the center horizontally. Then we are going to have some shadow, and let's have rounded corners for this. We are good now. After this, div class row short URL generator form, everything is fine here. Now we'll have some features of our app here. All right, so for this we'll say div class row, and here also we can have some spacing, so let's say my5 only. And inside this we'll say div class call 12 to take the entire width. Then we are going to have h3 here with some classes, and here we'll say features. Okay, and the classes we are going to use, first thing text main, then fw bold, so font weight bold, and some margin, so mb4. All right, save it, and we are good. Now we can have one ul with all the style what we are going to have. So on this ul, first thing we will have simple list unstyled class. It comes from bootstrap. So by default ul li, it has that the disk kind of thing, those circular icons before that, right? Using list unstyled, it is going to remove those. Okay, now inside this we are going to have li, and in li we are going to have, let's say, p. Inside p, let's have some class here, so we'll say h3 and mb3. All right, inside this, first we are going to have an icon. So for that I'm going to use span with some classes, and where I'm going to use HTML symbol. So ampersand right arrow. So R A R R, this one. This is right arrow. Alright. And after this, I'm going to have some text. Shorten any link URL. The suggestion is great. Alright. Save it and we are good. Now, okay, this suggestion is also good. So right arrow, copy the shortened URL to clipboard. Save it. Alright. After that, we have shared the shortened URL. This is the third point. Then let's have one more point. It is going to view the analytics of shortened URL. Right now, what our application will do, our application will just track the clicks, right? So we can change this to track the number of clicks on the shortened URL. Save it and we are good now. Now let's have one more. Let's copy it, one of this, so that we don't need to rewrite the HTML. And here we'll say and it's free. All right. So now our home page is ready. So if I check it, there is one small issue with this, the functional issue. Do let me in the comment if you guys figure out what the issue is. If not, we'll simply check it and we'll fix it. Alright, so I'm going to run it. Let's see how this page looks, that form and loader and everything. And there is some error. Let's see what it is. It is saying component attributes do not support complex content. Yes, if you are following my videos previously, so we know that we can't mix. There is some this error in short URL generator form, line number 125, short URL generator form, line number, there is no 125 line, but there is some. Okay, we'll see that later, but if we'll not later, right now, but first let's fix this one. So here we are saying cannot mix complex content. So if the component is custom component, when I say custom component, that means it's not a predefined HTML element. It's a component created by us or Microsoft or any third-party library. So this input text, this is a custom Blazor component. On this, whatever attribute we are using, bind value, class, placeholder, any attribute, we cannot mix static and dynamic content. For example, this line here, we are using this @ which is actually an indication of dynamic data in Razor or Blazor or Razor component, basically, right? Razor and CS HTML files, Razor view engine, basically. So this is dynamic content. So this is not able to process this. It should either be totally dynamic or totally static. What I mean is, it could be something like this. Now there is no @, so it is simple static string. Or another thing, we can use something like this. We can have it here. So we'll say private, let's say private static read only string my YouTube URL, something like this. Now we can have @ here and we can directly use it with @ like this. It will work. Okay. Or if you don't want to have it as a separate variable, we can make it dynamic here only. We'll place @ here. We'll have parenthesis, braces, and inside that we'll make it dynamic like this. So https www.youtube.com/@Abhay Prince, and now it should be fine. Or let's remove this thing. Okay, let's try it. And looks like we are good. We are good. Okay, and great. You see, we have this section and then we have this section as well. Shorten a long URL. It should have been text main, right? Or we have not added text main class on this heading. So h2, we have not added anything here, right? All right. Now if I press on this thing, you see we have some error. The shorten URL. As soon as I press this, we see page reload and we have this error. The post request does not specify which form is being submitted. To fix this, ensure form element have a @form name attribute with any unique value, or pass a form name parameter if using edit forms. So if you are following me in previous videos when we were working with entirely with Blazor SSR, then we need this form name. And by default, all the pages, all the forms, everything is in SSR mode. So this home page is in SSR mode, Blazor SSR. We have not defined any render mode explicitly. So whatever we have on this page, all those components will act as SSR only, static server side rendered, unless we define explicitly for any part of the component or for any component whichever we are defining here. So this short URL generator form, we need this form to be interactive and we don't want it to act as SSR. That's why on this we have not used this form name attribute. All right. So we'll change this. The way we can have it, we can have render mode here, or we can have the render mode on this component level like this. We can have render mode here. So Microsoft recommends, or we should try to use render mode on the consumer side only. Mostly we can have it here also, but for this particular case I'm going to use it here. So when I'm calling this component, at that time I'll say render mode. Okay, and here I can set interactive auto, that this should be interactive auto. That means when I first load this page, it should be using signal R, and when I revisit this page, then it should use Blazor WebAssembly. All right. Okay. Let's try it out. I'm running it. Open DevTools. Why is it taking? Oh, because we zoomed in for that error. All right. Now if we go to network, we need to refresh it first so that the dynamic thing comes here. And now we check WS, we have this blazing URLs WebSocket connection. And if you go to console, here we see it downloaded this WebAssembly as well. Right now it is using signal R. Now if I press this shorten URL, we can see that error here, which is the form validation, the data annotation error. That means it is interactive now and it is working. Now if I add something, maybe something, and long URL must be at least this. If I press this, we see this loader for 2.5 seconds, then it got removed and it is looking ugly. Let's reduce this padding and let's change this background. Let's add some opacity to this background. All right. So let's do that. So for that, what we are going to do first, we will go to our short this and we'll remove this is processing. Okay, we'll remove this is processing false. I'm removing this so that we can see that loader always, and then we can design it and then we'll uncomment this. All right, so save it and oh, it is not saved, so save it and hot reload it. So we are here now. Let's see if that is working. All right, now we'll first come here. We have P5. Let's remove this and let's say P3. This is fine. Shadow, let's have rounded as well. Rounded. Okay, now it has this H2, which is fine, or maybe we can say H3. H3 is also fine. And after that, on this background, let's have, after Z index, we are going to have opacity of 0.5. Oh, not this one. We should have opacity on this background. So on this, we'll have opacity of, let's say, 0.5, and it is fine, right? All right, so we'll do this. On overlay, we will have opacity 0.5. Let's do this. Let's go to loader and the main overlay. Here we are going to have opacity 0.5. You can move it to CSS as well if you want. And on this div, instead of P3, P5, we'll use P3. We'll have rounded, and instead of this H2, we'll have H3. So save everything and then go to short URL form generator, remove this is processing, save again, save everything and hot reload. Refresh. And something got broken. Let's run it again. So now on this page, this particular form is interactive, nothing else. All right, so shorten URL. Let's add something. Loader, and it got removed. All right, so looks like everything is working great. Everything looks fine now. Now, what should we work next? We should work on the functionality of this now, right? The generating actual short URL, right? All right. So our homepage is ready, UI wise. Save, close all tabs.